And following that, we will have the speakers, Dr. Reddy and then Ramon. The thing is, as you know, that for the past almost 1.5 months, it's a global pandemic. So we have our lifestyles modified. Hospitals are struggling to keep pace with the number of patients of COVID and trying to adjust themselves to handle other types of disorders. As you know that you must be every day getting hundreds of messages in the WhatsApp, in the SMSs, you must be seeing the multiple TV channels, which are all discussing about this virus. May I have the next slide, please? Yes. So you have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have a galaxy of eminent personalities on the screen, right from Baba Ramdev to a great debater, Arnab Goswami, to our leader, Mr. Gandhi. So all these channels and all these speakers, all these media outlets are giving you a lot of information. And not only there is a pandemic of the virus, but also there is a information pandemic all around. And now the government has said that please subscribe to Arogya Setu, which is an official website to give you the correct information about the pandemic. May I have the next one, please? So what to listen, whom to listen, when to listen is a matter of choice. And I think you must make your informed choice what you want to listen and what you want to ignore. And as medical personnel, healthcare workers, it is our responsibility to give the right information to the people around us. As you all know that this virus is named as the coronavirus. Since it was found in 2019, it is called COVID-19. And as you know that coronaviruses have got different types. And this is a particular type, which is the COVID-19, which infects the upper respiratory tract and lower respiratory tract predominantly and can cause multi-organ dysfunction. And primary cause of death is the respiratory failure. So it has affected almost every country by now in the world, numbering around 210 countries and different territories. And the total number of cases by now is about 2.7 million people. And 191,000 plus people have already succumbed to this viral infection. At the same time, nearly about a million, about 800,000 people have recovered by now. And if you see the graph, the top 10 countries led by the United States, and it has other countries like France, Germany, it has Italy, it has Egypt, it has United Kingdom, Spain. They are the major countries that have been affected. And India, fortunately, has escaped this spiraling graph. China has contained itself. I'm not sure whether the statistic that comes out of China is censored, audited, or it is correct. The deaths are also now increasing in the United States. Almost 30,000 plus people have already died of this ailment. Next, please. So if you see India, in India, the infection rate is lower than the global rate. It's about 1.7, significantly lower than the worst affected countries like Italy, Spain, and the United States and UK and Germany. Though experts suggest that the number of infections could be much higher in India because the number of people who have been tested are much lower than those countries. We are only as of now testing the people, those who have come from abroad, those who are in contact, and those who are symptomatic. But now, 2 days back, the Indian Council of Medical Research had changed its sample referral form and has added about 9 categories of people who should be checked or who can be checked for this virus by the real-time PCR technique. And yesterday, the Government of India, Ministry of Health has said the rapid tests that are being performed using some of the kits are to be withdrawn. So total cases in India is 23,000, deaths 722, and 5,000 people have recovered from this virus. So that's the current statistics. And every day, almost 1,000 plus people are added to the total number of cases, and about 50 people are added to the death list. And around 20% of the patients, and 20% is the figure that recovers from the infection in India. And you can see the bar diagram which shows the state-wise list. Maharashtra and Gujarat have the top two. Gujarat was in number 5 3-4 days ago, and from fifth it has jumped to second position in terms of number of cases, deaths, and recovery of cases. Next, please. So what has become important now, whether you should follow the disease or the pattern of morbidity? It has now been amply clear that there are a large number of patients who are actually asymptomatic. They harbor the virus but do not show the symptoms. So the registered transmission rate is much lower as compared to other countries, which has already been made clear by the Ministry of Health. And the morbidity in the closed cases has also seemed to be lesser than the world average. And due to the persistent lockdown that has been going on since 24th of March, the rate of transmission has dropped to single digit. And the morbidity has come down and now more or less constant. So the intention of the government to have these policies is to flatten the curve. And right now it is projected that probably the numbers will be rising till about middle of May. And after that, that is going to see the peak, and then the curve will gradually go down. And by the end of May, early June, we should be containing ourselves rather than having or rather than adding more number of cases. Next slide, please. So when you look at the global pandemic, you will confront before you the things that are not likely to work. What is gradually, India being a diverse country with different levels of socioeconomic status, panic is a very important thing. And the social media also adds to this panic because you multiply the reaction by multiple times by sending and forwarding your messages. So not taking social distancing seriously is not going to work. So social distancing is here to stay. And what needs to be done is that the basic hygiene and sanitation need to improve. If it is bad sanitation, bad hygiene in rural areas, in slums, and in congested localities, it is not good. So that has to improve. Testing numbers have to increase. So inadequate testing is one of the factors possibly told by the global leaders that India possibly may be having more infections because the testing numbers are less. And solely, we should not depend on antibody-based testing because it is an epidemiological tool. It is not a tool that can be used for diagnostics. So for diagnosis, the gold standard is RT-PCR, which looks for the envelope gene, the E gene, and the S gene, the RDRP gene, and the nuclear genes. So in single assays, you look for the screening gene, that is the E gene, and the other genes to find out the infection or infective agent. Antibodies are only for seroconversion, as in any other infection. You get initially IgM and then the IgG, and the testing of these also will soon take off, and the herd immunity, which is what you hear about, is going to be established whether the population at large are getting immunized against this virus. Next, please. So what should work for us is social distancing. Honorable Prime Minister has been telling every now and then that we must maintain social distancing. It's a very difficult thing to follow as you go to the shopping areas and as you go to religious areas. Social distancing is something which is difficult to practice. Vaccine is something for the future. Large number of centers are already working on it. And I think by the end of this year, we will have a well validated research vaccine in some of the countries, particularly in the US, China, and Germany. They're working relentlessly on these vaccines. The government can do a certain extent, but it is always important that we should have public-private partnerships so that there is synergy between the resources. And we must, could we go back to the previous slide? Yes. So aggressive testing is another thing that should be carried out, as I have already highlighted. Digital tools is very, very important because in this age of information technology, dissemination of the right information is extremely important. The dissemination works both ways. Good things gets disseminated, and equally the bad things, the wrong things, and the what you call in Hindi, the afwas also get disseminated. So testing the community, we haven't yet reached that stage. The government has not yet encouraged community screening. So I think that is the way to go. And sooner probably we will see that large number of people in the community will get tested, not only for antigen, but also for antibodies. The final thing is herd immunity. That is the buzzword. And we have to see when we develop this. And once we develop that, probably will contain the spread of this virus. Next, please. So this is my last slide. What I would like to request, everybody is in fact requesting to keep everyone calm, yourself calm, and carry on. And the washing of hand or hand washing is here to stay for long, long years. And nobody can ever more emphasize that hand washing is the best thing against the virus. Social distancing is at the current moment important, but that is a very difficult proposition to carry on for long. Stay home. Already people have been home for the last about 5 to 6 weeks, and they're already sick of it. But really, if you have somebody sick at your home, patients should remain quarantined at home. And the Lakshman Rekha that the Honorable Prime Minister said, don't step out from your home, is extremely important. Avoid handshakes, rather do namaste, which is important. Even the American President has said that, yes, the Indian way of greeting is much better than shaking hand. And always stay positive. And I'm sure this pandemic and this disease is not a difficult one to handle if you follow certain basic principles. With that, I end here. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to take a couple of them. But since possibly we are, I think we have 2-3 minutes. If somebody has anything, we can discuss. And then I will invite my first speaker of the session to give his talk. Any questions from the participants? 206 by now.
Sir, there's one question. Suchita here, you can hear me,
Yes,
sir?
yes, Sujita.
Okay, so the question is that can we rely on the Indian statistics which has been put out, since many pockets in the cities and mostly in the rural areas, the tests are not accessible and many of the non-symptomatic cases are not being tested?
Yeah, that criticism is always there everywhere in the media as well as in the scientific field and in the scientific world, because the accessibility of tests, the number of centers that are doing the tests are mostly concentrated in the cities and in the tier 2 cities. So it hasn't yet gone into the villages, but I think soon we have to do that. And until unless we do that, because as of now, cases haven't yet been brought in from the villages. But once that happens, I think that's the time when we need to screen larger population. That's the community screening that I was talking about. And I think that will be soon going to be there because we can't get out from that. Even within the cities, you have areas of containment zones where the cases have happened at a higher frequency. So there are red zones, there are orange zones, there are different zones made by the government, and they are paying due attention to the screening in those areas based on the frequency of the disease.
Thank you, sir. So we can continue forward.
Before I wind up, I must thank Mindray to have organized this, Sujita, Priyank, and all others, and including Dr. Panjwani. And I thank Mindray to have organized this. So I now move to the next event and the next speaker. Before that, I would like to introduce him. Dr. Gurava Reddy is an eminent orthopedic surgeon. He has done his master's doctorate in orthopedics and DNB in orthopedics from India, has a triple fellowship of the Royal College of Surgeons from Edinburgh, Glasgow, and London. Is a MCH in orthopedic surgery from Liverpool. Is the managing director of Sunshine Hospitals, which are in Hyderabad, Secunderabad, and Bhubaneswar. I was fortunate to visit one of his centers in Bhubaneswar to see a relative of mine in Bhubaneswar. He is a founder member of Indian Society for Hip and Knee Surgeries, ISHK. He has a Lifetime Achievement Award from the government of Telangana and Indus Foundation in association with the Indian Medical Association. He is a top adult reconstructive orthopedic surgeon in India award from leading physicians of the world in the US, and he has got numerous other awards and accolades. And with that brief introduction, now I would like to request Dr. A.V. Gurava Reddy to give a talk on this subject.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much for your... Can I start? I'm audible?
So you are audible, sir. So you are audible.
Yes,
Yeah, thank you, sir, Dr. Mishra, sir, for your kind introduction. And I'm going to share the screen now. Start the broadcast. 1, 0. Right. Okay, can you see that?
So we can see the screen.
You can see my screen. Okay, that's right. Right, let me see how do we go about the main one. Right, where is the, sorry. Slide, full slide view. I'm just seeing full slide view.
This is your first slide, I think.
Pardon?
This is your first slide, be positive.
No, I think we should be all right. Okay, we'll see. Yeah, can you see the slides?
Clearly, sir.
Yeah, okay, right, fine. Today I'm going to, just the next 20 to 25 minutes, I'm going to take you through the positivity. Pardon, I'll change the slide from my side. Yeah, okay. Yeah, right. I'm sure, what is your reaction to this COVID virus and this lockdown? Are you depressed, angry, or frustrated? I am neither. And I'm going to share with you how did I spend my last 4 weeks. I love sunrises. So I love dogs. I got 2 dogs. I took them for a walk. I got a tennis court. That's playing tennis with my family, my wife, my son, my daughter-in-law, playing carom board with my wife, playing cards, having lunches together with the family. And that is my neighbor, Dr. Varaprasad Reddy, the Shanta Biotech vaccine company chairman. So we just one compound wall separate from us. So we are maintaining the social distance and enjoying the music and literature because both of us are avid fans of music and literature. And what else I do? I take my grandson for a walk. I even train him for a potty training and take him for swimming. I do a lot of webinars. I play shuttle and I even attended some emergency cases. I learned Urdu and I listen to music. And this is the night time on my terrace. I'm sleeping on my mosquito-proof tent, thanks to China. and that is a full moonlight, and that is a sunrise and sunset. What else you want? If somebody says I'm depressed in these 4 weeks, I'm really, really surprised. This is the best 4 weeks I had in my life. I got everything what I wanted to do. So basically, it all depends on how you look at the life. And let COVID not discourage you from being positive. Right, staying positive does not mean that things will turn out okay. Rather, it is knowing that you will be okay no matter how things turn out. Let me tell you, my friends, life doesn't get easier. You just get stronger. There is the old me and there is a new me now, okay? And to thrive in life, what you need are 3 bones: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. Since I'm a bone doctor, natural, I'm talking about all bone language, okay? There's nothing else, a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. Any topic on being positive or positive attitude will have to start with this slide. I'm sure somebody must have known this. This is called Pollyanna, a character in Walt Disney. It's written by Eleanor Porter way back in 1940s. And this girl is so optimistic. She has become a symbol of optimism in the world. In fact, there are a lot of clubs, Pollyanna clubs. And if somebody is excessively optimistic about things, people call him, he's Pollyannish. So that is the way every one of us should be there. Because as I tell you, the world and the atmosphere will not change. How do we react to that will change. So let us create that every day is a celebration. Every day we are alive, that's a celebration. And let me tell you, my friends, there are 2 types of humans. One is the negative ones and another is the positive ones. And you can see on the left side, and the mother is showing the child about a street sweeper. If you do not study, you will end up like him. The same scenario, another mother is telling her child, if you study well, you will be able to make a better world for him. See how much difference in the thought process. The same way in the right side, both are traveling in the same couch. They are going on a hill, tortuous road, and only both of them are sitting there. One guy is sitting on the left and enjoying the mountain views, and another way is sitting on this side and gloomy with the rocks around him. He just should switch on to the other side and enjoying the nature. So it depends on how we choose to look the world. That's very, very important. Our great Mahatma Gandhi, he says, keep your thoughts positive because your thoughts become your words. And your words become your behavior. And your behavior becomes your habit. And your habit becomes your values. And your values become your destiny. So it all starts from the positive thought process. So that is what the essence of life. And for that, there are some very, very easy techniques are there. First of all, you got to be comfortable in your own skin. It is not that you should be Gurava Reddy, you should be Deepak Mishra, you should have triple FRCS, you should be a vice president of a company. No. Whatever you are and whatever you do, do it to the fullest pride of you. This is one of the famous quotations from Martin Luther King. I don't get tired at all to quote this again and again. If a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as a Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. What a way to express. In the sense, what he is saying is dignity of labor, and whatever you do, whatever the job it is, whether it is a sweeping the streets, or a nurse, or a housekeeper, or a doctor, or a vice president, or a prime minister, you do it well to your heart's content. That is the beauty of life. And as I said, appreciate what you have. The second important point. Nothing new can come into your life unless you are grateful for what you already have. All of us who are participating in this webinar are very fortunate. We got a roof on our head, we got a food on our plate, and we got an air condition, and we got a water to drink. All these things are God's blessings. You should appreciate them. Don't keep on grumbling. And I said, what should be grateful? You don't need to be grateful for your bank balance. You don't need to be grateful for your Mercedes-Benz car. Be grateful for sunset, sunrises, rains, clouds, the breeze, the stars, the moon, the sun, the strangers who smile, the children who laugh, the spouse, children, the flowers in the garden, sunshine on the face, your beliefs, your faith, your trust. Oh, how many hundreds of things you should be grateful. That is the beauty of life. Better to lose count while naming your blessings than to lose your blessings to counting your trouble. We always say that. Always count your blessings. That is the important part of life. I live life the way it is. And I'm not saying this, and I'm not getting these slides just to teach you a sort of bhashan. This is the way I live, and that is the way I'm blessed by the God to be positive. And another important thing is do what you love and love what you do. A lot of people keep on grumbling that my job is not good, my boss is not good, my children are not good, my house is not good, it leaks, roads are not good, and all the time grumbling, moaning, groaning. But enjoy the life what you have. So do what you love what you do. And the problem is, a lot of the times we don't do that. This is the two quotations in my operating room. The first one is, see nicely that frog is enjoying his life. And on the top of that, the quotation, it is so hard when you have to, and so easy when you want to. Simple, only one word is changed. So that's what it is. When you want to do it, things are so easy. Again, another quotation, dream as though you have nothing to lose. Believe as though everything is possible. Love as though your heart has no bounds. Live as though there is only today. And again, as I said, the way you live, if you want to do something, it is always doable. You can see a simple example. Enjoy what you do what you enjoy. For a man, it is easier to pick up a 45 to 55 age girl, just a romantic mood. The same guy, he cannot lift the 14 kilos gas cylinder. The moral of the story, interest in the work that matters. So whatever the work you do, enjoy it, my friends. And again, don't let the expectations of the people around you bog you down, or don't let them shackle you. So don't live for others, live for yourself. The expectations of others for the bars I use for my own cage. So another thing is, people are different. They keep on throwing different stones on you. They keep on throwing different comments on you. But just be yourself. Be only answerable to your heart. Two people on the donkey bank, poor animal. Somebody comments that. So then the wife said, okay, I'll get down, you go ahead. Then the people again comment how cruel he is by letting his wife on. Again, the husband said, okay, ma'am, I will get down, you get on this. How stupid he is by letting his wife take the ride alone. Again, another comment. So both of them are walking now. Fools, don't even know how to utilize the donkey. Another comment. So you cannot win if you keep on listening to the people. And another important thing in life is, let the child within life live forever. We all have child inside. Remember how good we used to enjoy when we were children, but now when we become big, we all become stiff upper lip. We just have so many pseudo boundaries around us, and we have so many pseudo egos, yes. And so we just become captives of this thing. So let the child be there and believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, you can do anything. As Theodore Roosevelt said, believe you can, and you're halfway there. And this is another one important, very important, famous quotation, which is very close to my heart. The Paul Coelho, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. That is the beauty of it. You want something really with passion, the whole world will help you to do that. So end of the day, it is a passion of getting that. And another important thing to stay positive and to be happy in the life is expand your comfort zone. Very important. All of us are in that comfort zone. We feel safe. We got a job, 9 to 5. We got some salary. That's it. But the moment you come out of the comfort zone, then only you become into growth zone. But you go into the green growth zone, you have to go into two zones. One is called fear zone and another is learning zone. But let me tell you, my friends, unless you move into that, out of your comfort zone, you will be like that. You will end your life the way you started. There is no excuse for that. So always challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone. Okay, do mistakes, don't worry, that's a part of life. Again, find your purpose. Aristotle, famous quotation, where the needs of the world and your talents cross, there lies your vocation. That is the beauty of it. Or in Japanese language, it's called ikigami. That is what it is. So what you love to do and what you want to do, if they meet the social demands, that is the beauty of it. And ability, motivation, success, attitude, all should mix into a nice sweet spot. Don't worry don't be afraid to make the mistakes. That is the way to do it. Learn from mistakes. Never regret day in your life. A good days give happiness, bad days give experience, worst days give lessons, and best days give memories. Wrinkles mean you laughed, gray hair means you cared, and scars mean you lived. And some mistakes, my friends, are too much fun to only make one. So do the mistakes, don't worry. Go and make a mistake. And don't be afraid to be the backbencher. You can see this slide, naughty backbenchers. All three went on to become prime ministers. Vajpayee, P.V. Narasimha Rao, and Chandrasekhar. And whatever you do, live with passion and embrace your me time. Always find at least 1 hour for yourself in a day where you are yourself. Don't bother about the family. Don't bother about children. Don't bother about your office. That is your time. This is me in the busy operating rooms. Next to my rooms, there is a corridor. I put myself there. And in between the busy surgeries and schedule, I just lose myself and sit there, look at the road, look at the traffic, and introspect myself. And again, live with passion. Whatever you do, you got to do with passion. Work until you no longer have to introduce yourself. And develop hobbies. You need 3 hobbies. One to keep you creative, one to keep you in shape, one to make you money. So hobbies are very important. I got loads of hobbies. In fact, I don't have enough time. I write books, I do radio jockeying, I do the music comparing, and I go to the music host shows. Another important thing is surround yourself with positive people. Very important. This is Dr. Rajshekharan, Ganga Hospital, Coimbatore boss, a very close friend of mine. I love to be with people who are achievers and who are the real go-getters in the life. That is how you should do that. Don't let negative people surround you. Another important thing is satsang. That means mixing with good people, listening to good things. Very important thing is Shravanam is the first thing in change of anybody's life. Then Mananam. That means once you listen, you Mananam, you keep on remembering that. That is called Mananam. Next is Madhanam. That means you introspect yourself, whether you are doing right or whether you are doing something wrong. Then Chintanam. That means slowly your thought process becomes open. Then Parivartana. These are the 5 stages any human being goes through that. But for all this, the starting point is Shravana or Satsanga. There are hundreds of gurus are there. You can pick up any one of them. You can go to their podcasts. You can go to their YouTubes. Listen to the good things. Listen to the good things. Only good things. And be inspired by the people and the perspectives. Meet the big people and just draw the energy from them. Be overawed by the creative people. And just those people whose energy, those people whose talent. So take the talent. Be inspired by them. And again, my friends, let me tell you, a lot of problems come because of the negativism, because of the negative people around you. So you vibrate so high that toxic people in your life fall back because they no longer know how to approach you. That's what I keep telling to my friends and people. Never ever go and sit in a crowd where there is a lot of gossip. Today they are gossiping about somebody who is not there in the crowd. Tomorrow, the moment you are not there in the group, they will gossip about you. So don't do that. Again, surround yourself with good things, whether they're good people, good posters, good quotations, everything. There should be good positive things in the life. They're all positive vibes. In fact, these are the 5 things I picked up when I went to Mayo Clinic, one of the best hospitals in the world. I did not pick up my stethoscope or I did not pick up any textbooks there. I picked up these 5 figurines in their shop: trust, helpfulness, purposefulness, gentleness, and self-discipline. How good they are. I put them in my hospital consulting room. Whenever I see them, my heart fills with a good amount of happiness and good amount of purpose in life. And same way, I keep these things in my home. Wherever I go in the home, the Laurel and Hardy for a humor, a nice girl lifting up a puppy, monks doing the meditation, elephant marching with other things, happy wife and husband. These are all the things. In fact, I'm so obsessed in my house. Everything should be so positive. You can see my towels in the bathroom. Happiness is laughing hard. Happiness is a long weekend. And you can see that in the center, there is a one piggy on the potty. And that, again, a bit of humor. These are all things in my bathroom. So what I'm saying is, everywhere you should be inundated. You should surround yourself with good things. Again, another important, good, positive thing in life is show appreciation. These are my hospital IMAs. I called them on my mother's death anniversary. My mother photo is there on the background. And I gave them saris on my mother's name. So I appreciated their work. They are the 4th class employees, but I owe them a lot for my hospital hygiene. And again, the nature. Enjoy the nature. Wherever possible, steal that moments and go and enjoy the nature. Tranquil nature, nice book, good music, whatever you want in the life. And let me tell you, my friends, medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. These are the Robin Williams, one of the famous quotations. And again, another important thing which we all do, mistake, is being judgmental. Don't be judgmental. You don't know what the other guy is going through. So the more you judge, the less you love. Very important point. So don't keep on judging the people. He's good, he is bad. Just take them as they are and give your love. Honestly, I don't have time to hate people who hate me because I'm too busy loving people who love me. A wonderful principle of my life. I don't have enough time to spend love, so much of love in this world. So where is the time to hate somebody? So that's why when somebody asks me in an interview, who are the people who stabbed you in your back? I said, I don't remember and I don't want to remember. You ask me who are the people who helped me, I will tell 100 names in 2 minutes. So that is the way you got to go in life. Again, live in the moment. Don't worry about past, don't worry about future. The secret of health for both mind and body is not to mourn for the past, nor to worry about the future, but to live the present moment wisely and earnestly. Buddha's quotation. Again, our Mahatma Gandhi comes. This quotation is again in front of my consulting room. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. What a knowledge in this quotation. And finally, though not finally, another 10-15 slides are there. Another approach in the life is 3E, 4G, 5F formula. This is my own formula. 3 E's, ego, envy, excess, greed. If you cut these 3, you are the winner. 4 G's you should develop: gratitude, good in everything, gestures, and giving. And 5 F's, family, friends, food, fun, and focus. And these are things. Ego is inversely proportional to the knowledge. You all know that Albert Einstein said. And we got to let the ego go. Otherwise, you will be there all the way. And gratitude, very important. You have to express gratitude. These are the people who helped me in my life. So I named my operating theaters with these people's names. And I remember every day the best way to express my gratitude is that way. And I named the other operating theaters with the qualities of a human being: love, prema, dharma, satya, sneha, lalana, ankita. That is the way I want to live my life. And the true meaning of life, again, as Dalai Lama said, we go to this planet only once. So let us help others. We will not be coming again and again. And another thing is, people search gifts for people, but I search people for gifts, because giving has given me such a high, such an adrenaline and such a happiness that is wonderful. So always love to give. And I always look for the opportunities. The same thing, you try to give somebody, you see how to help somebody, you will find that wonderful tranquility or nirvana. For example, I went to America last year, and within 1 week, I have visited 6 places. I don't have any business there. I just went to marriage, I went for a birthday, I went to see somebody, a friend who is in the hospital. Like that, I spent very hectic, but the amount of love, the amount of affection which the people showered on me during my visits is undescribable. And again, another important point I believe is, when you get help, always remember that. But if you help, forget that. Don't even remember that. Help others without any reason and give without the expectation of receiving anything in return. That is the important point in life. Being able to help and not helping is the ultimate sin in life. Again, let me tell you, my friends, very few of us have got the privilege or pleasure or the advantage of helping somebody. Not everyone can help, but we have that ability. God has selected us to help people. If you can help and don't help, there is no meaning in life. And again, not everything deserves your time and attention. There are a lot of negative comments, thought process, just ignore them. My father used to say, don't raise your voice, improve your argument, and cherish your loved ones. Again, important point to being positive, to being happy in the life. Cherish your loved ones, spend time with the family, do something, whatever they like, and that takes me to the friends. As good as family or as important as family, friends are very, very important. Take one friend twice a day. That's like a capsule. A beautiful quotation. उम्र की चादर खींच कर उतार देते हैं, ये कमबख्त दोस्त कभी बुढ़ा नहीं होने देते हैं. दोस्तों से बातें किया करो जनाब, ये वो हकीम है जो अल्फाज से इलाज कर देते हैं. They pull down the blanket of age and keep talking to the friends. These are those doctors who kill you with words. What a lovely shairi. Friends, I got loads of friends, and these are all my medical school friends. They all live in America. I waste no time to go meet up with them and enjoy the life. The problem nowadays is, people were created to be loved. Things were created to be used. The reason why the world is in chaos is because things are being loved and people are being used by Dalai Lama again. So my friends, don't do that. Love the people, okay? And this is my Gurava theory. Let us say you meet a person. There are two things can happen. Number one, A, embrace. Number B, suspect that guy. End of the day, journey, if that person turns out to be good and that your whole journey is good and you become a friend, A1 is the best thing. But if you keep on suspecting the people, bad, 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 and you will end up with a negative thought process. So treat everyone as a gentleman and enjoy the journey. If it turns out to be a bad guy, don't worry. You got a journey good. And let reading unlock you. I read a lot. This is my library. And if anyone doesn't read this book, go and buy this book. It is available in the websites. Steven Pinker, Enlightenment Now. This one is the one which tells that the world is the best place to live now, as opposed to what media keeps on feeding us. And second thing is enjoy the food. Whatever the form you like, whoever gives you. These are all the patients. They keep on giving me the food because they know what I love. I love simple things and enjoy the food. And food is one of the celebrations in life. I'm telling you, my friend. And this is my son enjoying the pav bhaji in one of the Pune hotels. And again, there is one diet called elimination diet. Remove anger, regret, worry, resentment, guilt, and blame. Then watch your health will improve. And again, for every minute you are angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Don't go to bed with anger. And love is caring for each other, even when you're angry with your wife. And again, that brings me to one of the most important things for any human being is laughter. Laughter is the best medicine, unless you have a diarrhea. No doubt, there are so many irritants. Coronavirus come, pandemics come, the boss won't give you the raise, and your job is sacked, your children won't help you, your wife is not going along with you. A lot of irritants will be there. Just when you think it can't get any worse, along comes someone to prove you wrong. So always there will be irritants, no doubt. I'm not saying it is hunky-dory. What a day I'm having. But relax, my friend. Meditation is the way to go. You should sit in meditation for 20 minutes a day, unless you are too busy. Then you should sit for an hour. So simple. The answer is there. And let me tell you, you need not be God. It need not be Jesus Christ. It need not be Allah. It need not be Shiva or Brahma. There is some supernatural power which will always guide you if your thoughts are noble. So all of us, the doctors, the paramedical people, the healthcare workers, all the people who are listening to this speech are all touching the lives in some way or other. So always have faith in that supernatural power. You keep your thoughts clean, he will always help you. And don't go to the Monday morning work like this. Let me see just 1 second how to go to this one. This is a beautiful slide. Okay, don't worry. Stop living like this. And another important point is stop living like this. You cannot live like this, and you should be able to do well. My goal in life is to become a workaholic in order to be filthy rich and emotionally dead. No way. And opportunity is nothing more than crisis played correctly. And yeah. So you have to convert every crisis into opportunity. As simple as that. So example, nice and easy. Stay at 4:30 a.m. because that is the best time to do. And 33% rule when you are working, all of you are working, 33% of the time you mix with the people below you because these are the people you can mentor and help and you'll feel good about yourself. Another 1/3 of the people at your level, these are your friends and circle of influence. Another 1/3 of the people, try to be 10 to 20 years ahead of your people. They will make you feel uncomfortable and they will make you grow. Honesty and integrity is very important when you're working. A famous quotation by Warren Buffett, look for 3 things in a person: intelligence, energy, and integrity. If they don't have the last one, don't even bother with the first 2. So the old mindset is, I don't have time for my health, but the new mindset for all of you should be this one. I achieve twice as much in half the time. My health always comes first. Take care of the health. And digital detoxification is very important. I'm sure all of you, including me, are addicted to the cell phone. I fear the day that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. Don't let us go into that. And don't burn your opportunities for a temporary comfort. All this is for the working people. It doesn't matter how many resources you have. If you don't know how to use them, it will never be enough. The GLAD technique, which we all do that. This is again Maslow's hierarchy of needs. One always should go into self-realization. Life is a choice between aging and growing. Aging is adding years to life, while growing is adding life to years. We all keep running in the life for the money. End of the day, We come here, sorry, sir, no baggage is allowed. That is the reality of life. We don't get anything into this life. We don't take anything out of this life. The real story of life is this one. When you are young, you got time and energy, you don't have money. When you are child, when you are young, you have no time, but you have got money and energy. When you are old, you have time and energy, you have time and money, you don't have energy. That is the life. Okay? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who is stronger, smarter, prettier, or richer, whether you are happy or not. It is what the latest thing is called exponential things. Time is made elastic by experience. That is called experiential terms. If you have a family that loves you, a few good friends, food on your table, and a roof over your head, you are richer than you think. I'm sure all of us in this audience have these things. And avoid overanalyzing. I'm telling you, my friends. Doctor, what happens after we die? Simple. We clean the bed and admit a new patient. As simple as that. And I say a lot of girlfriends with me, personal masseurs, Lamborghini Maserati, private jet. The secret to living well and longer is eat half, walk double, laugh triple, and love without measure. A negative mind will never give you a positive life. Finally, my friends, my dear friends, let me tell you, life is beautiful for who can feel it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Reddy, for that wonderful motivational talk. I think you inspired and motivated all the audience and all the listeners.
Thank you so much, sir. And
that was really, it was so illustrative, and you gave examples and you quoted very eminent personalities in the world, and you have led by the example.
Thank you so much.
And I now open the system, this talk for a few questions. In case anybody wants to ask anything to Dr. Reddy.
Yeah, a lot of people might. Yeah, Suchita, tell me.
Yes, so there's a question, there's a request from Dr. Jadhav. She's asking about your books and your recording. Where can she find it?
Yeah, okay. If she emails you the books, I'll send the books to her. Okay.
Okay, fine, sir. And sir, there are lots of positive comments on overall presentation, as it's very, very highly inspiring how they can learn and, live through this difficult time with a very, very positive approach. On few of the scientific questions are also there. So one of it is that they have heard about herd immunity.
Yeah.
So what do we do about this herd immunity and how it works?
Yeah, I'm sure Dr. Deepak Mishra is there. The herd immunity usually happens when you have 60% of the people affected. They differ from virus to virus. This virus has got an R naught of 3. That means it can infect 3 people. So it depends on the transmissibility and other factors. So for this virus, I think if I write, around 60% of the people should get infected. That means around 65 crores of people should get infected. In that process, even if we take 1% death, around 6 lakh people will die. So that is not going to happen in the near future. But all of us have got a innate immunity for some of the infectious diseases. And probably that is the reason why we escaped very, very detrimental of this virus. And as I said, in Mahabharata, there are 100 reasons for Karna's death. Like that, there are 100 reasons for Indians' life today. Let us not bother what is that, but we are blessed by the gods in 100 ways. And that's why we are still here. Otherwise, we would have gone wiped out of this planet with this virus. So thank God we are safe. And again, another important point is Indians, I think that we got a innate strength to survive the adversities, unlike other races in the world, because we have seen all the negative things, or not negative things, challenges, and every day is a challenge for us. So we are built for that, psychologically, socially, physiologically, and that also gives innate strength for us to get on with the life.
Okay. Sir, there is a comment from Dr. Raghu M saying that you are a walking god.
No, please, I'm a human being like you. But Suchita, let me tell you, for all my friends who are visiting this one, I'm not here to preach this as a guru or a sadguru. I live the way it is. I'm exactly the way. I keep my home completely with the positive things. I get surrounded by positive people. I don't let anybody who talks gossip next to me. And these are the things which keep me going. As I talk to you now, I am now, let us say, up to here with problems because I'm running 3 hospitals, 3,000 people work for me. I have to now see how can I pay them salaries this month because hospital has not worked at all. So, but I'm not letting that spoil my mood. I will win that one. That is the positivity. That is the strength of the positivity. If with this talk, if 10% of the people develop that positive frame, my job is done. And that is the only way to live life. There is nothing else to do.
Right,
That's
sir.
excellent. Dr. Reddy, it was a fantastic talk and an excellent discussion. With that, we must thank you for your wonderful talk. And thanks for being with us this afternoon. On behalf of Mindray, I thank you immensely for this great interaction.
Thank you so much, sir. And I thanks Mindray for giving me this big audience. And I really appreciate their contribution. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I have the pleasure of introducing the star of this afternoon, my good friend, Dr. Ramon. He, in fact, needs no introduction because in the field of hemocytometry, he has excelled himself in this world, just like the coronavirus is currently ruling the world. Dr. Ramon rules the world of hemocytometry. Dr. Ramon, the first time I met him, he was the scientific research and medical affairs head of Beekman Coulter. Then he switched over to Sysmex. Then now he is with Mindray. So he is a MD, now currently working at the scientific and research and medical affairs head of Mindray in vitro diagnostics. As I have already said, his areas of expertise has always been clinical and laboratory hematology, oncology, immunology, and coagulation. He is currently a lecturer of artificial intelligence, AI, at the University of Applied Sciences of Southern Switzerland, had over 40 years of experience working in both laboratory and hematology industry, 8 patents to his name, and over 100 scientific publications published in peer-reviewed journals. Ramon is a wonderful character, a very happy-go-lucky type of a person, a romantic individual, and we are fortunate to have him here today this afternoon to speak to you on a subject which is post-COVID-19, the future, the present, and he's going to speak to us for the next 30 minutes. Ramon, please.
Okay. Hello, everybody hear me?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Good. Okay, today I am going to talk about coronavirus, and I will talk about, yes, the diagnosis. I did a similar conferences some days ago, but I am sure because it was a limited number of people permitted that not many of you were able to attend. I will review the diagnosis, but my focus in this presentation is what's next. What we have to do now. It's clear that some countries control the outbreak, but now what we have to do, that we can keep closing all the shops forever. We have to reopen as nothing happens. That will be my contribution also to the actual state of the art in the coronavirus management. Let me begin with the diagnosis of coronavirus and COVID-19 disease. Okay, here we are going to talk about today introduction and actual state of the COVID pandemic, review on symptoms and diagnosis of COVID-19, sorry, it says 16. First study, just to see one of the first patients that we were aware in Mindray, to see the follow-up. Another experience, very nice, because we were able to control the cytokines and to see the evolution of this cytokine storm in Wuhan. The third study, I did myself this study that is the review of 92 patients with several status of mild, severe, and critical to see how we can diagnose the different clinical status, but also how we can predict, and that will be for me also an important point for the future, how we can predict when the patient will become severe or will become critical. After that is innovative, countries that did well, countries that maybe can do better, because I don't like to say they did wrong. And the 7th point, what's next? And I will introduce, today we were able to listen about the mental attitude for to be better and to fight coronavirus. Today we are going to talk about also diet. That will be a surprise for you, because maybe you don't know that I have the title of Tibetan medicine that I got in the Mensekang University of Dalai Lama in Dharamsala, Himachal Pradesh. That will be a surprise for some of you. First, let me show you the COVID in the electronic microscope. And here a representation of the COVID in 3-dimensional. This is a cartoon, but show us how is the COVID. Everybody have seen, because it's everywhere. But here, let me explain what is the actual situation. I am following up from the beginning of the outbreak. And really, we can see here the number of deaths per day during all the outbreak. Of course, now the episode in China is practically disappeared because the scale is too big for the rest of the world. And China, here we can not even see the decrease of deaths in China that happened around March, at the beginning of March. What is clear is the increase of the deaths in the rest of the world is huge, but looks like, let me be optimistic, that countries like Mexico or South America or United States will not break this trend, but looks like we are in the top of the mountain going to initiate the decrease of this outbreak. Let me be optimistic. The facts are, in the end of February, were 3,127. The majority of China, some of them from Korea and Far East. In the end of February were 40,000 cases. And in April, we estimate that the cumulative deaths will be about 225,000. As you can see, the growth of the deaths are exponential. That is an important slide to see how deadly is this virus. We can see here the H1N1 death rate, how many patients die from the one infected. And we have to consider that the H1N1 is one of the more deadly influenza virus. Remember the outbreak that I was in the WHO attending the meetings there. Now I go less. Now it's substituting me, Professor Gini, but I am representing ICS. I was representing ICSH in the WHO, and I remember this outbreak that people were really afraid because the death rate came from 0.1 to 0.5. That was huge, 5 times more. But now we are in front of 7 times more death rate than the H1N1. And that if you have a good healthcare system, you have enough protection for the healthcare professionals. Don't forget that in Italy, 10%, that they were not prepared for that, 10% of the healthcare professionals are infected. And in Spain, 20% of the healthcare professionals that are 20% of all the diagnosis cases in Spain are healthcare professionals. So these are not only patients, but also you can have not enough material to protect the healthcare professionals. And this death rate can go to, we will see today, some of the countries that are not doing as good as others, that they have death rates of 18%, 15%. That is amazing. Why? Because normally if you have enough healthcare system, enough artificial ventilators, you can keep this 3.4. After, when you have collapsed your healthcare system, the death rate can increase to 10 or 15%. Here we can see the SARS, that was the previous coronavirus that affected, that the death rate was even double than the COVID-19. After is how many people get infected. You know, today we know that in the north of China, only 1 patient infected 87, but it was a big contagious guy. And the infection rate of the COVID is 3 times more than the influenza for some reasons, because there is no yet immunize people, and all the people are not, the majority of the people have not immunity for that, and the infection is 3 times. In the season when this coronavirus will be maybe come back, or in some countries, you know, we expect to have 3 times more cases than the influenza, together with increase of the death rate. Okay. Here, an important point will be also the differential diagnosis of the COVID.
Probably went into the
Sorry, Deepak, can you silence your microphone? Deepak Kumar, can you silence your microphone? Thank you. Yeah. Yes, the differential diagnosis, this is important because what we have to consider now in this outbreak is quite clear. But what will happen in the next outbreak when the countries now, after it controls in next October, in next November, or in the southern countries, the opposite in summer, in our summer, that we have to still consider this virus, and we have to do the differential diagnosis. And of course, we have to put the point in the parameters, in the features that are unique from this virus. And here, the artificial intelligence that I am managing, it plays a big role because we can calculate the probability of the different virus based in the prevalence of the different symptoms. Today, as we will see, when we will see a patient with influenza or rhinitis or rhinovirus, a cold symptoms, if have lymphopenia, we have to highly suspect COVID because it's quite unique. And we have to identify what are the quite unique symptoms for COVID comparing with other virus. Let me go for the diagnostic of the SARS-CoV-2, or also called COVID-19. Fever is quite frequent, 88%, cough, 68%, fatigue, 38% diarrhea, and vomiting. I don't know, but in practically all the cases, in many of the cases that I have seen around of COVID, they began with abdominal pain, stomach pain, and vomiting and diarrhea. But there's so many, depending the area, but here in Europe, I have seen many cases with that. We have to pay attention, people that begin with abdominal pain, diarrhea, and vomiting. Here, a more extensive article that shows the prevalence. That is ideal when you calculate the probabilities, the artificial intelligence, to see the percentage of all the symptoms and the different degrees of fever. Here we can see the fever is variable. We can see from more than 39 to 37 is variable. The neurological manifestations are important. Many of the patients that get a mild or very not really clinical coronavirus, they come back after with an anosmia, and they are not able to taste the food. And that is, this virus is really affecting the central nervous systems, and we can see a lot of neurological manifestations. Now, are not listed here. We have seen a lot of like urticaria-like lesions in the skin. The skin is also showing the infection of coronavirus. We have to pay attention when we see an urticaria-like reaction. I will mention the transmission incubation. All of you know that it's all the journals, the basic reproductive number, the median incubation period, okay, of the coronavirus. But I want to insist in the droplets. You know, sometimes some people go to the supermarket and they think that keeping 2 meters of distance between you and the person that is close to you in a corridor of a supermarket, you are safe. No, you are not safe. Because when the people is breathing in front of you 2 meters far, you are both walking in this corridor, and the droplets that this person in front of you, if it has coronavirus, you are going to breathe the droplets, because the droplets keep in the air for several hours. For this reason, we have to protect ourselves, and now there is no discussion practically that everybody has to use the mask. And of course, if the particles are in the air, will be impregnated in your hair, in your clothes, in your glasses, in all your body. For the reason, it's recommended after you go to the supermarket, because you have to go anyway, is go change your clothes, clean it, and keep, please, all these, paying attention that these droplets are there for hours, because in the fluid particles, they remain there. Also now there are investigations in Italy that the high polluted areas, also the pollution contains the coronavirus, and that remains and can go with the wind far away. And now they are investigating, because this area in Milan area in Lombardia was very rich, was very contaminated. It's like a valley, not well, and that was maybe one of the reasons that was dispersed the virus in the air. Here, everybody have seen that. I will not insist in this slide, just reminding from the positive cases, 81% are mild, so 14% are severe, and 5% are critical. Here, I will insist here in only one point. The clinical course of COVID is well known, but I will include that the 45% of survivors that are discharged, they have cough. And some of them, they are released after 57 days being in the intensive care, and they have a lung fibrosis. And maybe they are going to have to receive a transplant. For the reason, not only we have to count the deaths, we have to count the disability of many people that are discharged, but they will have dyspnea, they will have difficulties to make exercise, and some of them, they will have dyspnea forever. That is a very, very important toll that we have to pay for this virus. The fibrosis, the lung fibrosis, that till we don't find any treatment, it's not clear that we are going to, after recover from this, of course, I am going to follow up very carefully the follow-up of this patient, how they recover from that. Okay, it's an important point that the severe lymphopenia was observed until the death in non-survivors, but in others, the lymphopenia count was lowest after the day 7, and they improved during hospitalization. We need to find out how to improve this lymphocyte count. I have a personal theory about the myeloid-derived suppressor cells that are described that decrease the immune system, and some virus and cancer cells can, is only for research, not for diagnosis, but many cancer studies include the MDSC cells, myeloid-derived suppressors. So we need to investigate that, and we need to work how we can improve immunoboosters. We need to check what we can do to improve after the cytokine storm has finished, after there is no risk, how we can improve these lymphocytes. Okay, here is the multi-organ dysfunction. This is clear. Now there are many fake news that the coronavirus is not a virus, it's a thrombosis. Many people die of thrombosis. Yes, it's true, but the intravascular coagulation, yes, become because the sepsis, bacterial sepsis, viral sepsis. But what is clear too is that multi-organ dysfunction. Recently has been described that there is organ vasculitis. All the vessels in the organs are inflamed, are highly inflamed, and that damage many organs. Now we are investigating why this organ failure, and looks like this virus provoke vasculitis. All the vessels inside the organs are inflamed. And we need to find a treatment for that, for the next outbreak, or for the patients that are going to be ill in the next months, weeks. Okay, the radiological features. This is the slide. I am sure this will be recorded and provided, and I am not going to enter, but the important is you can see the X-rays that they have developed also artificial intelligence. Also with an X-ray, you can predict highly the diagnosis of coronavirus, because the lung opacity is huge, it's massive. The consolidation, the opacity is, is incredible. Here we can see the bronchogram. Okay, the incidence of other disorders. Which persons are candidates, a part of the age that we know that every year of age increase 10% of the death rate of the coronavirus. Every year you are older, every 10% more of death rate from the child that in this moment are practically non-affected. But it's important which other diseases you have. The chronic pulmonary disease, if you have previous condition, that will make it more severe, more risky, the coronavirus, diabetes, hypertension, chronic renal failure, cardiovascular disorders, cerebrovascular disease, malignancy for sure, hepatitis or liver cirrhosis. The laboratory diagnosis here, I like percentages. 81% of the patients have lymphopenia. And we can review the statistics of other viral infections. We need that. The Bayesian and artificial intelligence need percentage. But this is practically not unique, but quite selective from this virus, the lymphopenia, okay? 36% of the patients have thrombocytopenia. And I will add that many times when this happens, we need to investigate the D-dimer. We need to investigate the fibrinogen, the D-dimer, to check if this thrombopenia is due to intravascular coagulation. Elevated C-reactive protein, we don't have to forget, C-reactive protein is going how when the liver is working. If we have liver failure or liver inflammation, don't expect that the C-reactive protein is high. For this reason, we need to consider the liver to consider also the CRP. Elevated levels of lactate dehydrogenase is very important. Elevated levels of creatine kinase. There is a heart and muscle affection with this virus. Here you can see everything in a table that will make maybe for some of you easier. That is the typical pattern, an average of many patients published in the literature from Heshu and others. You see the D-dimer, the fibrinogen, the albumin. Albumin because the low liver production, the transaminases, the C-reactive protein, the low lymphocyte count, the high leukocyte count with neutrophilia normally. Okay. Laboratory diagnosis, also quite unique, is lower oxygenation index than previous SARS. For the reason the oxygen saturation that we can do very easily with a pulse oximeter that you can buy in Amazon, it's very important, the oxygenation. If we don't have, if the patient is in an elder residency, that is easy to do. You know, to do with a pulse oximeter, the oxygenation, that is quite unique from this virus. That is also, you can do the second in the hospitals. We have to monitor, if we can, CRP, and when it's positive, if we have money and the right instrumentation, IL-6 and IL-10, because that is really what makes the difference in the death rate. The cytokine storm, how to avoid it, how to prevent it, that is critical. And we need to monitor when that happens to react, if it's possible, before it happens. Again, the low levels of CD4 cells is very important for this virus. Looks like an AIDS because the CD4 goes very down, but in different than AIDS, also the NK cells goes down and the B cells, as we will see in one study. Here is what happened with the different CRP, procalcitonin, and SAA, the serum amyloid A, that are three markers for infection or sepsis. Not any of them is perfect. And they have, some of the authors propose a combination of the three, in addition of the three, to make much more sensitive to detect the infection or the bacterial infection, because for the organ failure, not all of them, as I said, the CRP is produced in the liver and are not so sensitive and specific. Combining both of them is one of the ideas I like it. Here is an important point, the diagnosis. Now, many companies are selling kits. Many companies are selling antibodies, but some of the antibodies, believe me, are trash. And really, I think we have to be careful what we use. And I will recommend especially the 3 genes test for polymerase chain reaction, RT-qPCR, because that is the more specific. But even though the best, the RT-qPCR is not perfect. The PCR is very specific, but not very sensitive. We need to combine both. The IgG, IgA, and IgM, IgA in saliva. We need to measure the specific IgA for coronavirus in saliva, and we have to use both. And we cannot say it's a negative if the antibodies are positive and the genes and the PCR is negative. If not, we are going to give false statistics in our country. Here are the specific changes from the SARS-CoV and the actual virus. There are few amino acids that are different for the people that like molecular. We can see the previous SARS and the actual outbreak with some differences in some amino acids. Here is the median time of IgM antibody at 5 days after the infection. 88% of the patients are positive for IgM. IgA specific for virus, 93%. This is the reason we cannot ignore this test. The IgA specific for COVID in saliva. And the IgG was detected on 14 days at 77%. The ideal, if you want to have a 98% of diagnosis, is to combine, as it says here in the third point, the positive detection is significant increase when combining IgM aside with PCR. Here is how the positivity changed from the time of evolution. Here we can see the evolution of IgM, of IgG and PCR. For this, depending the day of the evolution, we are going to have to consider the decrease of the antigens. Of course, if the patient is going critical or severe, for sure the PCR will not decrease, will even increase more. And here you can see the percentage of detection. This graph is very nice to see the percentage of detection of the coronavirus. Let me see here. Sorry, here, yeah. That the PCR is 51%. Of course, not the PCR with 3 antigens that have 70%. But in these columns, you can see that the PCR is only 51 till 70. But combining PCR with plus IgM, you have 98.6. Many countries that only consider positive the PCR positive are underestimating the number of cases by far a lot. They are reducing the number of positives, maybe 30, 40% lower than really it is in the country. Hematology research studies. Now I am going to a hematology lab. That is my field. Even if I am a clinician, that is my field. The first case that was studied, okay, this was the evolution of one of the first cases in that we can see here how the neutrophils and the leukocytes goes up, and that is going with in correlation with the severe status of the patient. Many patients get super infected with bacteria. And this is a reason in many therapies, including azithromycin as one of the therapies. Of course, if there is no bacteria, there is no need to do azithromycin. Here again is the lymphocytes. How the lymphocytes in the second graph goes down. The third will be the neutrophil lymphocyte ratio. That is one of the parameters proposed by us to follow up these patients. NLR is very sensitive, and as soon as it goes up, we need to consider that the patient is going to go worse, and maybe we can prevent the treatment acting before it's really a sepsis. CRP, again, in the patients with no liver affection is good because can follow up also the severe aspects of this patient. Here, for the people that like to see the plot, this is the patient at the beginning of the study. This is how the parameters and the plots change. We cannot enter in deep on that. We are going to do it after maybe in a workshop. Okay. Here you can see the lymphocytes were 0.37. Here 1.82. You can see 0.63. That we can follow up the RDWSD too. And here you can see for this patient, in every day, what were the clinical status. The summary, we found an increase in the first patient that we analyzed of white blood count, leukocytes, and neutrophils, decrease of lymphocytes, increase of CRP, and increase of neutrophil lymphocyte ratio. That was an experience in Union Hospital in Wuhan that is very interesting because we measure here the cytokines and some of the lymphocytes. Here we can see an evolution of a group of patients, mild and severe, to see the differences. And we can see here that the severe patients have lower white blood cells than the patients that are mild, but the neutrophils were much better because the neutrophils were higher here with an asterisk, was significantly important to differentiate severe from mild patients because that normally shows a super infection with bacteria. The lymphocytes, again, here is the severe patients and the mild patients. You can see that lymphocytes are very, very important to show that. And I am not going to wait for the day 4 and 6 that is very low. I am going to react when the lymphocytes goes lower than 0.6, when they are going to be 0.5 before the day 4-6. If we act the day 3, for sure is better. Not to wait that they are very low. And that is, for me, the important for the future. What we are going to talk about, what's next. What's next? We need to follow up and to find the best cutoffs for the lymphocyte count to decide to do a therapy before it occurs the cytokine storm, before it occurs the sepsis, etc. The CD3 cells, the total T cells, are significantly different with a very, very big peak at the day 4 and 6. The CD8 are also different in these two groups. The CD4 cells are absolutely critical, but here it's important differentiating that from the 8s. The B cells are also very low, and we need to investigate the reasons for that, why the B cells are also low. Can be the MDSC cells, the myeloid-derived suppressor cells. We will see, but that is something that we need to investigate. That is unique from this virus. NK cells, again, very low, not significant. Also, B cells are not significant, but CD4 cells are significant, very significant. IL-6, the cytokines, as I said, are expensive. Maybe we need to filter with CRP, with procalcitonin, with SAA, but we need to do this test. If we want to make this patient survive, we need to detect when the cytokine storm begin, because if we can treat it successfully, I will prefer to give immunomodulators, not immunosuppressors, because with immunosuppressors, yes, when you are going to avoid the cytokine storm, we are going to discuss at the end what's next. But yes, we need to react and to detect the cytokine storm. Maybe we need to do this test, easy access, cheaper, produce it. You know, I don't know what the governments can do, but the same that the Indian government did something with the AIDS treatment and with the hepatitis C treatment. I think here we need to do something else to make available these IL-6 and IL-10 that are cheaper and easier to do. IL-2 is also very important. IL-2 is one of the more important immunoboosters, and here it shows a very important peak in the day 4-6 of all these patients. Interferon gamma and tumor necrosis factor, again, are moreover interferon gamma, and that is correlated. There is a treatment that finally is not doing very well, maybe because inhibits the immune system as a treatment against interferon, to block the interferon. Here you can see that in a graph. Here you said an uninfected individual, you have a moderate COVID, in that you can see the increase of IL-6, IL-10, and tumor necrosis factor. There is a decrease of CD4 cells, but here you can see with the cytokine storm by the macrophages, and really the lymphocytes are really, really very low. I like this slide because it shows graphically the COVID replication and the presence of lymphocytes and cytokines. Okay. We have to do a summary. Parameters that have shown a clinical utility are the CD4 lymphocytes, the neutrophils in absolute numbers, sorry, and they are high, CD4 low, lymphocytes low, IL-6, IL-10, and IL-2 high are the selective important parameters for the follow-up and diagnosis of these patients. Here you have in a nice study by Liu J from Wuhan, that they did all the significant statistical parameters that may show a difference between the mild patients and the severe patients. Here we can see with numbers, the values, the average, the interval of confidence, and the p-value showing that is a very good parameter to differentiate severe and mild patients. I selected this article because it shows with numbers that is ideal for artificial intelligence what is really relevant from all the parameters we can do. Okay, the D-dimer, the fibrinogen, the C-reactive ferritin. Patients with high ferritin have very bad prognosis. We need to measure ferritin. The excess of iron is known that have an increase of infections. We have to investigate if patients with hemochromatosis and can have a higher risk to have a severe and critical, and to be careful if the patients that have previously high ferritins, these patients have to be considered high risk. This is just an hypothesis that I am saying here. Don't take it as a scientist evidence, but I will propose to investigate how the hemochromatosis patients respond and how they deal with the coronavirus infections, because all of us, we are going to be in front of this virus. That is really a drama. All of us in 1 year, 1 year and a half, we are going to be in front of this virus. Doesn't matter how much quarantines, how much things we do, everybody will be in front of this virus. If you have hemochromatosis, be careful, more careful than others. The third evaluation is the evaluation I did. I am going to go fast because I presented before these results, just to show that we were collecting 59 mild people, 16 moderate severe patients, and 19 critical. And here, I will not enter here the definition of the patients. Here, it was my contribution. I selected with my group of research in Mindray 2 groups, that this is not quite frequent in many studies that has been published. We were selecting the patients that were following up, because all these patients have a follow-up of minimum 1 week, but many of them 17, 18 days, that we measured all the CBCs and all the hematological parameters every day. We were looking for patients that become severe from mild, and we collected the samples from the previous days before they become severe. The same for the critical. We collected the results of the patients that after 1 or 2 days, they were critical. And we were trying to see the differences of these patients that have these results previously to the others that will not become severe, that will not become critical. We create the group 4 and 5. And here you can see the groups without the prediction, the group 1, 2, 3, what are the average values and the difference between the groups. The group mild, the group severe, and the group critical. And that you can see the group 2 is the severe and 3 critical. And you can see the average of age. In the critical, the age is higher, also in the severe. The hemoglobin is only lower in the severe. In the group 2 is not significantly different. The hematograms, even if they are in low values, they were very significant when we compare mild from severe and mild from critical. For the reason, hematograms, even in low numbers, are very significant. The lymphocytes are incredible, are very, very important. You can see how different are. RDWSD, it's also very important because 38, 40, 44. But here I have to say that when you study the RDWSD in 1,000 patients before the outbreak, maybe in July 2019, many patients are RDWSD positive for anemia, for many other reasons. For this reason, we cannot use a standard cutoff. We need to see the follow-up. When the patient enters, we need to observe the values of the RDWSD when they are mild at the beginning of the infection, and to see the changes looking the delta check, how the RDWSD moves from the previous values when the patient entered in the hospital and after how much increase, because an increase is also very significant for the outcome of the patient. Neutrophils, NLR, platelets, leukocyte counts. And here, we added here the group 4 and 5 that are the predicted groups. The groups that collect all the samples before that they are now severe and critical, which was one, the patient is bad. Okay, what you can do is much more difficult. But if you can treat the patients before, that will be the ideal for the future. Here you can see the same with the whisker plots, how the lymphocytes are in the group 1 that are mild, in the group 2 severe, and in the group 3 critical. And how you can see that previous to be severe and previous to be critical are significantly different from the group 1 that are the mild. For this reason, we can use the low lymphocyte count as a factor to predict that the patient entered to be worse. The same for the neutrophils. You can see how the group 1, the mild, have lower values, the group 2 higher, and the group 3 higher. And also here we can see that it's not so useful to predict the group severe, but it's useful to predict the group critical. This is the RDWSD. You can see the group 3 has significantly higher values, and it's very useful to predict when the group 4, before the patient entering from mild to severe, an increase of RDWSD is critical. Now we know that there is an influence between the virus and the hemoglobin. I will not show this article, but there is an article about that. There is something that affects the red cells that is not just the infection. It's an interaction of the virus with the red cells. The platelets goes low only in the critical, and that is very important, and goes lower before it's severe and before it's critical. But this is clear that the platelets only go down, and we have to pay attention even if there are no very low. Here we can see the values, the mean values is 120. We have to pay attention every a decrease of platelets to predict that something wrong is going to happen. Here, the monocyte Z, and that is really my contribution of that to Mindray. Monocyte Z, cell population data, the size of the monocytes can predict the critical phase, and the cytokine storm, the sepsis, and that have to be used in the future to predict the critical phase, and maybe to initiate a treatment with antibiotics, with any immunomodulators before the patient dies. The monocyte set, you can see how good you can differentiate the group 3 and the group 5, okay? And here the NLR, neutrophil lymphocyte ratio, this is combining the lymphocyte power for diagnosis and the lymphocytes. Sorry, the neutrophils and the lymphocytes, you combine with a factor, and it's very important to differentiate mild from severe. As a summary, the absolute decrease of the lymphocytes lower than 0.63 is an alarm that the patient is going to have a bad outcome. The absolute neutrophil count more than 9.2 to have a bad outcome, and in the severe cases 7.85. The platelet decrease, not very low values, pay attention on that, less than 184. You don't need to wait for thrombopenia. Only when the patient has 200, 300 and goes lower than 184, you need to begin to react. Something wrong is going to happen next days. And RDWSD, here we need to personalize to the patient, but also have to be have in account. The causes for the absolute decrease, virus selective to CD4, MDSC cells that I mentioned before. For the absolute neutrophil, the bacterial overinfection. For the platelet decrease, the sepsis, the intravascular coagulation, that is well known in eclampsia, in many other situations. RDWSD, oxidative stress, inhibit of red cell maturation factor, lack of nutrients, inflammation. And here the more important, because that is for me important, very, very important, prediction of the bad cases. As I said, platelet decrease, lymphocyte decrease, neutrophil increase, and monocyte Z increase. Monocyte Z decrease in the severe cases, here are the cutoffs, okay, more than less than 889. The neutrophil fluorescence also show a benefit to predict the severe cases. Sorry. And now let me go for my contribution for the future. What now I will talk like a clinician, not as a laboratory specialist. Here, the countries that shows, I cannot say they did wrong. You will see it here. I didn't include it, Spain and Italy, because they were the first in Europe, and one after China, the first in the world after Korea that were doing very well. Korea, I will mention after the countries that did well. They blocked the case that infected a lot of people in a church. They did very well. But the countries that were not able to react fast, but that I forgive them, even if they have also bad values, Italy and Spain. But the countries that for me can do better is because they have the experience of Italy and Spain, and they were not reacting, even if they saw what happening in the countries that they were not unexpected with an outbreak that they don't know which virus is, how it, it was really not predictable. Belgium have 15% of deaths from all the diagnosis cases. That is huge. Remember that we said that the virus only have to have a death rate of 3%. That shows that the country has been collapsed, has been permitted the people to be outside, and that is really terrible. The deaths for 1 million, because Belgium is a small country, is 576, is the highest, okay? And again, the percentage of deaths from all the people that have an outcome, doesn't matter, death of discharge, 40%, that is very high. Sweden, that is an interesting case to learn. Sweden and Norway, they have not very far populations, and Norway did very well, and Sweden did not so well. With 12% of deaths from all the diagnosis cases, a death rate for 1 million people of 213, and a percentage of deaths from all the discharge was 68%. All the people that have outcome, 68% die. That is massive, it's huge. It's one of the worst countries in the world. UK, We know they ignore it. They said that they want that everybody gets the virus because with that they will be immunized. Okay, 13.57, the prime minister infected, the minister of health infected, the pregnant lady or the prime minister infected is not the best example to follow. The UK idea that was economy is very important, don't close anything, let's immunize the people will be immunized, and after don't show that was the person. They even don't show the data of the percentage of deaths and the percent of discharge. Not available, this data. France, again, they have ignored and they have 18, one of the worst, is the worst number of deaths per diagnosis of coronavirus. 18% of the patients with a positive test for coronavirus have passed. 18% is amazing. The deaths per 1 million, 341, and percentage of deaths from the discharge, 34%. USA, we cannot say many things about the USA. They are not even in the plateau. They are just beginning the infection, but the results don't look very good. The percentage of deaths per diagnosis, because they cannot do yet many diagnoses to all the people, is 5.1, is not very high, but the percentage of deaths for all the people that have an open is 32%. And the deaths per 1 million is 158. And now we are going to see some countries that did well. Korea, with deaths per 1 million of 5, the percentage of deaths for discharge 3%. They have no more than the toll you have to pay for that, and that for me is very good. They did very well. India, they did very well with a deaths per 1 million of 0.6, with 3.2% of deaths for every patient diagnosed, and the percentage of deaths for all the patients that have an outcome, 12%. Australia, let me say, sorry for all the countries, I think was the country that did the best, with a percentage of deaths and discharge of 1% and only 1.19% of deaths for all the diagnosed patients. Australia did react immediately, very strongly, closing everything, and that was good. But now, let me say something. What will happen now? Okay, Australia, they blocked the cases. Yes, it's true, but maybe only 2% of the population has been infected. What happened when they are going now to release all these shops open again, the supermarkets, the malls? What they are going to happen? Because yes, they stopped the first outbreak, but when they are going to open all of that, has the virus disappeared? Or they can control that nobody will enter in Australia. They have to close the country, all the planes, all the goods. We don't know that. In Australia, it's like an island, okay? They can do it better than other countries, but the countries that did well in the first outbreak don't represent that they are free. Are they going now to open everything? Are they going to permit that the people go outside? Because how many people is infected now in India? How many people is infected in Korea? How many people is infected in Australia? That is the questions we need to ask. I will try to answer some of them. The diagnosis criteria, that is very important, that I mentioned before, the positive detection. We need to use that. We need to use both in combination. Don't be playing with the statistics. Don't use only qPCR to show that your country are doing well. Use also IgM and IgA. You need to use that. Don't show lower results than and use good tests. 3 antigens for PCR and good IgM, because some of the IgM, IgA, some of the countries are not detecting sensitivities of 30% only. And what's next? Okay, are countries that did well going to go bad if they reopen? The idea is that in 1 year, all the world population will be in contact of the coronavirus. This coronavirus, because there can be another one. Every 1 month, the virus is mutated and can be different virus that will affect maybe, unfortunately, children. And that is something that we need to face, control. If I will be the chancellor of any country in the world, I will say, control children. When it will appear the first case of coronavirus with a death, please take measures immediately to put the child in quarantine, because we cannot guarantee that mutations of the virus will affect children. Second, provide all hospital beds with artificial lung ventilator. I think, yes, it's expensive, but I will provide an artificial lung ventilator to all the beds of all the hospitals. We cannot do the same again. We have to, now that the outbreak is going down, before to reopen, be sure that you have enough lung ventilators in all the beds. Do millions of tests to detect who is in risk, who is positive, who has the antibodies. Permit that the people that have antibodies, and you can demonstrate that they are safe to be outside, but be careful with the people that don't have antibodies. They have to be in front of the coronavirus, protect them. Relation, economy, safety. Yes, I know we cannot close the countries for 1 year because what the people will eat, if all the businesses will go down, and wait till the vaccine is released. Okay, the vaccine will be good for virus, but considering that the virus is mutating, yes, but it's a good thought. Wait for the vaccine. But can India, can Australia wait till the vaccine is released to open the theaters, the cinemas, the football, the baseball? Can we do that? That is the question. What parameters we can use to decide that? I think the contagious number. In Spain and Italy, the contagious number is 1. When we know that can be 3 and even 5, that you have to measure that. Second, number of occupied intensive care beds. I think it's important to control that. When you're, let me take some water, please. I need water. Sorry. Yes. The number of occupied beds. I will begin to release I don't know, the people walking in the street, the people going to supermarkets. When the occupied intensive care beds are 50% only, that you have enough beds to control another outbreak in your country. And to be sure that you have enough protection material available. Remember that in Italy, 10% of the healthcare professionals has been infected, and in Spain, 20%. Before to open everything, be sure that you have a production in your country of material to protect your healthcare professionals. The vaccine, for sure, the vaccine is something that we need to work on that, to be sure that it's safe. Don't go in a hurry. We have to, I know everybody's waiting, every economy cannot resist that, but we cannot release, we need to follow the protocols. We cannot give bleach in your lung to clean the virus in 1 minute. We cannot do crazy things. We need to wait till the vaccine is safe. Keep protection measures, distance. Are we going to hack again in the next 1 year, 1.5 years? That is, it's an interesting thought. Predict the severe clinical status and the critical status with the right parameters to avoid deaths. Of course, we are working on that. We are going to publish our results, how to predict and how to decrease the death rate from 3% to 1.5%, to work with the clinicians, to work with therapies can be used 1 or 2 days before the sepsis occurs or the cytokine storm. That is something that we need to work with. Do the right diet. I will talk about that at the end. Moderate exercise, mental positive attitude. My colleague here did a very wonderful talk about that. Follow up the mutations. I said that in children. That is affecting now no children, no teenagers. We need to follow up that and to play measures against that anything happen with these populations that now are free. Practically, there is no children and teenagers affected. And finally, take immunomodulators, immunoboosters. In the nature, there are some immunomodulators, some immunoboosters that we can use. I am expert on that. I am working for that for a long time. Anybody that can want to ask me, I'm not here, but I can talk about that in another talk. And finally, to close my talk, I will talk about the Tibetan Ayurvedic diet. They say the Tibetans, when I was in Dharamsala in Himachal Pradesh, that you are what you eat. And not only what you eat, how you eat. The first thing they teach me is you need to chew 32 times every piece of food you put in your mouth, to be sure that it's absolutely broken before entering your stomach, to make sure that your digestion is done in less than 2 hours or 2 hours maximum. Second, don't fill your stomach. Never take 2 parts. If we can divide the stomach in 4 parts, you have to take 2 parts of food, 1 part of water, and have to remain 1 part of air in order that the meal, the food, is well moved, well moving, mixing all the acids and so on, to be sure that your digestion is good. Third, keep 3 hours minimum between meals. Don't take anything in between the meals, and don't drink cold things, ice creams, cold water when you are in the middle of the digestion. But also, they divide the diseases in hot and cold, and they consider that the coronavirus is a cold disease. And for a cold disease, they will recommend to take a special food. In that, they recommend some aromatic plants like glandwort, rosemary, thyme, spearmint, oregano, chamomile, ginger, cinnamon, saffron, sesame, and cardamom. Some special vegetables from all of them. Some of them metabolize in hot, some of them metabolize in cold. They will recommend that you take vegetables that metabolize in hot: red onions, spinach, peas, beans, rice, lentils, cucumber, radish, quinoa, bell peppers, tomatoes, scallions, red onions, etc. Finally, the fruits. They will recommend you red fruits, oranges, lemons, pomegranate. Honestly, during the episode of Corona, when I have been traveling, I always take tea with ginger tea with lemon and honey, because to protect me from the virus, having the right food. The animal source, the fish, the lamb, and the eggs, metabolizing hot, almonds, nuts, peanuts, raisins, dates, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. I cannot enter in deep in the Tibetan medicine. I am a passionate of that after I was in Himachal Pradesh with in the Mensai University. And here we can see a lymphocyte from infectious mononucleosis, an Epstein-Barr virus infection. That was like that. I made the photo, and that is, it was real like that with a form of a heart. This is a T-reactive lymphocyte, a CD8 cytotoxic lymphocyte that is reacting against the Epstein-Barr of this lady, teenager, 17 years old. Have a good day. Thank you.
Yes, Ramon, that was a fantastic talk. You discussed about the pathobiology, you discussed about the transmissibility, you discussed about the detection techniques by both antigen and antibody, sensitivity, specificity, and you discussed about the future COVID-19 infections. Wonderful talk, and I open this to discussion, and I request the participants to suit questions for you.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Ramon, and thank you, sir, Dr. Mishra, for excellent talk. So we do have certain questions here. The first question is from Dr. Sarjan Shah for Dr. Ramon. Is any experience with IL-6 analysis? Is it going to be better than CRP and procalcitonin? And he has one more question is, do you suggest any company making IgA kits?
Excuse me, if yes, you suggest what?
So the first question is, any experience with interleukin 6?
No, at the end, but you say the last question from the three.
Can you recommend any company?
IgA kit.
IgA kits.
IgA kit. Okay, that will be, I cannot do it in this conference call, but yes, they can ask, I cannot say publicly which test. I will do commercial things for that. But there are some good qualities for IgG, IgM, for sure, and I know it. But I cannot disclose that in the meeting, okay? That will be an advertising of kits. Okay, but yes, it is. Let me answer the other questions. The other questions were, Sujita?
Is interleukin 6 better than CRP and procalcitonin?
Yeah, interleukin 6, you know, the sedimentation rate is very sensitive, few specific. IL-6 is much more, CRP is much better than sedimentation rate, more specific, less sensitive. IL-6 is even more specific and less sensitive. But IL-6 not only is good, IL-6 is also the previous step to epsidin. Is really very much more concrete and much more specific for infection than CRP or sedimentation rate. Sedimentation rate can be high also for a multiple myeloma. PCR can be positive if you do if you run around your house 3 kilometers running, your CRP will be positive. IL-6 is less sensitive, but much more specific. That's sedimentation rate and CRP. And not only I say that, the statistics show much better results than CRP in the study we did in Wuhan, the Union Hospital. I have shown the data. The star shows a significant P less than 0.001. But this not only is my opinion, the fact shows that are significant difference between IL-6 and CRP. CRP is good, but they propose it when they are using only CRP, procalcitonin, and SAA that you cannot use one of them. You have to use the three. One of them alone is not enough. On chase of that, IL-6 was alone very significant, and you can use it alone. But CRP is very good. I will recommend to use sedimentation rate. If it's positive, do CRP, and if it's positive, do IL-6, because you cannot spend all this money for all the patients. I will do reflex testing to save money and to use a combination of rules, combination of neutrophils, to only select to do only IL-6 in the patients that maybe also neutrophils a little higher, lymphocytes are a little lower. I will do reflex testing because we have to be realistic. We don't have all the money of the world to spend in diagnostic tests.
Yeah, thanks, Ramon. That's a good strategy. We do CBC, CRP, and as a reflex, we do the IL-6.
Yes.
The
with
second,
rules, combining maybe neutrophils, combining maybe lymphocytes, etc.
There's a question from Dr. Prajapati. She's asking, what is your experience with symptomatic versus asymptomatic patients?
Okay, the one of the reasons of this virus is so bad is because can be contagious by asymptomatic patients. And children can bring this virus everywhere, and they, in this moment, with the actual mutation, they don't have the problem. That is the problem. The asymptomatic patients are spreading the virus around, and that is really, you know, they can pass all the controls of the temperature in the airports. Now I have seen today that some countries are opening the university to do the studies and so on, and the exams. You cannot detect them with a temperature. That is the problem of this virus. Some other virus, like influenza, you have symptoms when you are contagious. This virus not. This is one of the reasons of this bad outcome of this outbreak. Previous outbreaks like the MERS and the SARS, the previous SARS was not like that. It was practically all the patients that were infective have symptoms. That was make easier to control this virus. This virus not. The patients are able to contagious in not being absolutely asymptomatic. In addition, when you recover from the disease, you are recovered from the hospital, many patients, the virus come back, maybe because the severe lymphopenia, the severe B lymphopenia, the severe natural killer lymphopenia that provoke that you are not able to produce enough antibodies. You produce some antibodies, yes, for the detection, for the test, but not to protect yourself, because the severe immunodeficiency caused by this virus. This is the reason we need to work yes or yes or yes in immunoboosters and immunomodulators, but this will be the title or maybe on a workstation, a work meeting with experts on that. But we need to find immunomodulators to boost the immune system.
Yeah. So thanks, Ramon. The next question is, are the hematological parameters different in HIV positive COVID cases?
Can you repeat it?
Are the hematological parameters different in HIV positive COVID cases?
I have not done this study, but by memory, I would say yes. I think HIV is quite specific for CD4. We normally don't see this lymphopenia in other lymphocytes, but yeah, this virus have some aspects like the CD4. Let me say this virus is quite selective for the CD4 cells, but not only. as HIV. We need to review. I need to review the data. I have not done this study, not this review for this talk, but I have to check. It's a good question to check the NK and the B cells for the HIV. But I don't remember that was so low also NK and B cells. But honestly, in this moment, I cannot answer fully this question. But I think this is much more, have some aspects like HIV, but also affects B and NK. We need to double check all the series of HIV for that.
There is a question from Sanjay Path Lab. They're asking any significance of serum ferritin in diagnosis.
Serum?
Ferritin.
Serum ferritin in diagnosis. No, what has been published is the patients with high ferritin have much more severity, have much more possibility to enter in mild, severe, and critical. They are at risk, and this is a bad prognosis factor. We don't know yet why. I guess that it's only a guess that hemochromatosis can be a very good bad prognosis, a group that has not been published. We need to investigate now with the artificial intelligence, big data, analyzing. When the countries will liberate the data and we will have a database of maybe 100,000 patients, we have to investigate risk factors. And ferritin is one of them. For any prospective study, I have suggested to do ferritin. If we cannot do for economy, frozen samples to do ferritin afterwards, because ferritin, for me, plays a big role. And the influence of the virus with hemoglobin that has been published also shows that has to be investigated. The values of ferritin are very, very high in COVID patients.
Ramon, we do have a few more questions. Can we continue for 5 more minutes?
Yeah.
We do have a few more questions. Can we continue for 5 more minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay. So there's a question from Dr. Parimal. What tests should be done for non-symptomatic or asymptomatic patients? What tests are recommended?
Okay, the first one we know that is positive.
Asymptomatic? No, we don't know.
We don't know.
They're not.
I think for a patient that are a CBC can be enough. A CBC can be enough to exclude any affection, but I think we need to combine. If we have to do a CBC plus CRP maybe, CBC, CRP, and to do the IgM, IgG, and PCR. I think that will be, if I have money enough, I will do not only the RT-qPCR, because I would like to have a previous result of the future complications. I will use the opportunity that I am doing RT-qPCR and IgG, IgM, that I need to take blood to do to all the screenings as CBC.
So there's a last question we take from our YouTube live audience. So there's a question, which tests are important for emergency surgeries if patient come directly to tertiary center?
If they go to the center, I have answered this question. Let me share again. I think the important are the lymphocytes, the neutrophils, the monocyte Z, the platelets, let me review here because it's in one of these slides. Let me review here. Yeah, RDWSD, it'd be important. Platelets, neutrophils, lymphocytes are really important. If anything is wrong or sedimentation rate, I would recommend to do CRP. CRP will be also important to follow up these patients. Yeah, I think a CBC with a good instrument like ours that have cell population data can be good, and pay attention in the monocyte Z and do CRP at the minimum problem. And of course, do the RT-qPCR and the immunoglobulins, the IgA and IgM.
I request Dr. Mishra to give the closing remark, please, sir.
Thank you, Sujita. It has been a great interaction. Good questions to Ramon. I have my last question to Ramon. Are you ready, Ramon?
Yes, always.
If I could ask you, do you find enough morphological changes in the neutrophils, in the lymphocytes, and the monocytes, like other viral infections in COVID-19 infection as well.
Yeah.
Other than the numbers and the counts and numbers and the size.
You know, I am investigating that. Just recently, I had received yesterday one article in China, and there is another article from Dr. Gina Zini that it's published that are very, very nice. Well, I am investigating now the morphology and the correlation of the morphology. What I will pay attention is when the monocytes become bigger. The monocytes bigger in the blood smear can predict the cytokine storm. For this reason,
the mean monocyte volume is higher.
The monocyte Z, the monocyte Z in Mindray instruments, it's an important parameter. Every technology is different. Can be the monocyte Z, but not other size of volume. But the monocyte Z for me can be a very important parameter to automate and to make a flag in these days that will say monocyte macrocytosis as a parameter, as a flag. Also, I will pay attention on the delta check of the platelets. I will pay attention of the lymphocyte decrease. Any delta of lymphocyte decrease can be absolutely important. Any delta of neutrophils, I will pay attention on that. And maybe not to apply to all the patients, but to apply that the patients that have COVID positive to do like reflex testing to pay attention in the patients that have any risk. You cannot see all these parameters to all the patients, but maybe have a reflex testing or a selection of patients in that we are going to ask the laboratory technicians to write down in the report these parameters for us, but only when they are they have a previous diagnosis of a previous suspicious of COVID.
So one last question, Ramon. One last question.
Tell me.
Why is there a hypercoagulable state in COVID-19 infection?
For sure, because the bacteria. There is clear that the neutrophilia can show a bacterial infection, you know. It's a super infection. It's normally, but I never seen in a severe virus, because the AIDS, you need a lot of months to have a low CD4. Here, in only few days, you have extremely low CD4. That never happens in AIDS, you know? And also the very low CD19. That shows that this virus is growing in these lymphocytes. It's using these lymphocytes to replicate itself. And this is the reason they disappear. They are so low, and for sure, you don't have B lymphocytes, you don't have NK lymphocytes, you don't have CD4. Of course, bacteria, happy. We can grow here like in an agar plate. You know, it's absolutely fantastic for them because they have a severe immunodeficiency, like rarely you see today in HIV, because they need a lot of months to get these low values. The CD4 arrives to 25, not 400, no, 25, 30, very extremely low values. And of course, the bacteria comes, the bacteria activate the coagulation because the bacteria have this factor 7 activation. You know, they initiate the coagulation, the fibrinogen, the fibrin, the D-dimer. It begins because the bacteria have this thromboplastic effect, activating the coagulation. Some people say they die of thrombosis. Yes, for sure. But before that, they have a growth of bacteria. And that is what is difficult. How you will cure a patient without lymphocytes, without any lymphocyte, only with antibiotics is so clear in medicine, you cannot cure a patient. You need the support of your own immune system. Only with antibiotics, you are not going to do anything.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramon, for that
the way to increase the immune system, to immunomodulate, to avoid the cytokine storm, to avoid this decrease of lymphocytes. We need to investigate that, and I have some proposals for that.
Thank you very much, Ramon. And I think we profusely thank you for giving a great insight into this subject. And I'm sure still the science is evolving, and more days pass by, we'll get more information about the biology of the disease. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good afternoon.
Now I hand it
Yeah.
over to the Mindray person.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Mishra. Thank you, Dr. Ramon, and thank you, Dr. Reddy, for excellent sessions. And we look forward to coming out of the situation the very positive approach. And see you and meeting you personally soon. And we all should be happy, healthy, be safe to all. Thank you again.
Yes, same to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just to remind you, all of people who are visiting or seeing the session on the Zoom app, we are also available on the YouTube channel. So recording of the session will also be put up on the Mindray India page. So feel free to take this reference, go back to the Mindray India YouTube page and look at the sessions again. Thank you, and thank you. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.